So unfortunately, I do think I am correct in that there can be only 3 successful bookish events in a year.
That's it. That's my intro.
Hey, Amanda, you're watching Swell Entertainment, and today we are talking about a Million Lives book festival that just took place this past weekend in Baltimore, Maryland. Now, while this was going on, I was not there. I was, in fact, in Miami for the Formula One Grand Prix. I, in fact, literally just got back from the airport and immediately sat down to film, which is why I look a little scuffed. Though I'm sure you'll be able to deal with it because we need to talk about a mess of an event again. So based off what I just said, this video is a little all over the place. As normal, okay? But I do feel like I summarized the event issues way less than I normally would. This is not a good summary of the event itself, okay? If that's what you were looking for, I'm sure there are multiple other videos out there already. I believe some of the authors have already made YouTube videos as well. I will link those down below. This video is really just me getting progressively more frustrated with the organizer in particular, who at this time it looks like was one main person that is communicating with most of these people and also brushing most of these things under the rug. So that's mainly what I was getting irritated about the entire video. Also, as I filmed this, it was like right after this had happened. More has come out since, so there will be updates from that as we go through this. Okay, enjoy. You guys are tagging me incessantly in these videos. I appreciate it, okay? Because what's crazy about this one is it's mostly authors talking about it, because that's who was mostly at this event. Was authors. A Million Lives Book Festival is the perfect event to make more bookish friends. This event will include a vendor hall, panels, content creation room, fandom cosplay meetups, a cosplay competition, and a ball. I mainly heard about the ball. You guys started tagging me in all the authors making their videos, breaking things down. Then also just the vendor hall itself. A day ago, while I was still in Miami, Archer Fantasy Events, the head of the company, it looks like, put out a video saying, "Hi, I do want to formally apologize. This is unacceptable and I will issue refunds to anyone that would like one." The Archer Fantasy Events, that's about the ball specifically, okay? Now, keep in mind, this ball was the last event of a convention, of like a festival. You guys need to get better at picking what you name things. Even just saying like a Million Lives, a bookish event, like would have done so much better in limiting expectations. Festival has a connotation to it. Convention has a connotation to it. Expo. Event, a special event, a bookish event. A ball has a connotation to it, okay? People have expectations in so many videos when an event does poorly or there's issues. I always talk about people think that events are cash grabs, and they are not. Yes, you can have a huge hit. You can make $1 bajillion, but to make $1 bajillion, you have to spend at least a couple million to get that bajillion. Obviously, I'm using hyperbole, but you get my point. You know, like these events are expensive. Many events are not profitable in the way that you think they are, okay? Some people are like, I just need to make the event and then sponsors will pay for everything. Okay, do you know how to talk to sponsors? Do you know what a sponsor needs in order to be involved in your event? I have no idea what the sponsor situation here. Are you going to rely on vendors? Because that's also a slippery slope, because that's the issue now that we have here, where the vendors were authors and they're not happy. So the Archer Fantasy Events account also posted another thing, AML refunds. I wholeheartedly apologize for how the event turned out this weekend. We are currently processing refunds as fast as we can. All refunds will be processed by May 31st. We thank and appreciate you for your patience. Please send an email or fill out the contact form on our website, including your order number to receive your refund. False. Just do it. Refund everyone. Amanda, that's a lot of money. Yeah, you fumbled. You did not deliver upon promises, based off what I'm seeing. And they apparently have another event coming up as well in a couple of months, I believe. I would be working overtime right now trying to fix the reputation of the event to even continue to put on that event. But as of right now, it does not look like that's going to be how you go about this.
Hi everybody, I am wanting to issue a formal apology. I do understand that the ball tonight was not set up to standards. There were a lot of issues with getting set up and it was not set up well. I want to apologize. If you would like a refund, please contact me and I will issue a refund immediately. Thank you.
I'm sorry it wasn't what you wanted. No, false. It looked like you didn't try. When the Bigfoot convention fits a vibe more than the bookish fantasy event, you did something wrong, you know? But first, let me take a second to tell you about my personal trainer, the sponsor for today's video, Trainwell. Trainwell is the ultimate one-on-one remote personal training service, providing expert personalization and real human accountability all in one app. I actually worked with Trainwell back in 2021, and even though we haven't worked together since, I have continued to use the app. With how much I travel, but also with how much I work from home, it can be really hard for me to be motivated to go to a gym to go work out and be consistent, which is why Trainwell is perfect for me, because not only am I able to get the personal training experience from the comfort of my own home, but my personal trainer and I work together so that we can figure out the perfect schedule to fit my lifestyle. For example, even though I work from home, I have a busy lifestyle and I live in an apartment, so we have focused on shorter workouts that aren't too impact heavy, so I'm not getting evicted. And since I travel so much, my trainer has also made me workout plans that I can do from hotel rooms so I can remain consistent. Another thing I personally like about Trainwell for their exercises specifically is that they don't just tell you about an exercise or show you one angle. They show the exercise from multiple angles, which is really important for me to see to make sure that I am doing the exercise correctly at home. When you first sign up for Trainwell, you will take a quiz that'll pair you with the perfect trainer for you, and then you can get a call scheduled so that you can talk about some of your workout and lifestyle goals and even some of your diet habits to see if there's any tweaks that they can recommend. Personal fitness is obviously a deeply personal experience, so if for some reason your personal trainer is not a perfect fit, you can change trainers at any time. Take the quiz to get paired with your perfect trainer and get started on a 14-day free trial. You can scan the QR code on screen, or you can go ahead and click the link in the description box. Get started on your fitness journey today with Trainwell, and thank you again to Trainwell for sponsoring this video. A lot of the videos that I'm going to show you are videos from authors that were actually at the event that were tabling at the event, okay? And so the first one we're going to show is author Percy J. It's multi-part, so I don't know if we're going to go through all of the parts. I will sum up some of them because it's a lot. But it's pretty clear looking at the footage, but she goes a lot more in depth. I will link her page down below so you can go through and watch everything if you would like.
Oh yes, everyone. This was real. This was a real fantasy ball that I just attended not even 12 hours ago.
The thing is with a ball, with any event, okay, and I always give credit where credit is due when it comes to atmosphere. Picking the right venue saves you a lot of time. If you think you're going to have at least 1,000 people at your event, then yeah, you go to a convention center. You could have done this in the Hilton and it would have gone better because at least they actually have a ballroom. You are in a conventional. Is that where we had Baltimore VidCon? That literally might be the Baltimore VidCon convention center room. I'm not even kidding. Basically, their ball was a bunch of tables and just the standard convention hall lighting and everyone in their dresses.
Here we are at the Million Lives Ball. Look at the ball. We're gonna...
We also have Michaela Hornado.
So yes, I was at A Million Lives Festival this last weekend. I have a lot to say. This started a long time ago. January, I believe, of last year is when I was reached out to be a featured author. I didn't know anybody who was going personally for a while. I didn't have any pre-orders. So I was a little concerned and I reached out in December. How many people are coming? Because I need to know how many books to bring. Also, I was thinking of pulling out because it didn't seem like A, this was my crowd, or B, there was anybody going to be there. He said 400 tickets were sold in December. So I said, you know, it's local. I can drive.
Something that she just mentioned, and I've been hearing a lot, is the authors that are saying that they were told that either 400, 500, or 600 people had already bought tickets. That's not a their number, but also with a lot of events like in this, like I talked about this a little bit with Romantasy BookCon, the people that went there stayed there the whole day. Okay. So like you may be like 600 tickets isn't a lot for, you know, a festival or something like that. But like with bookish events, a lot of people will just stick around if it's not like, let's say the LA Festival of Books, I'll use that comparison, where some people try and get in and then go and then come and go or stay for the whole day and things like that, where I feel like it's a little more like all over the place. With a lot of bookish events, especially with panels and author signings and all of that, people are milling around, especially if you're hoping to try and talk with authors and, you know, buy books, things like that. And usually when you're buying books and things like that, you're not going to go haul off to go somewhere else and then come back to the con, you know? So that number might seem low for a convention in general, but for bookish events, I do think that's a fairly solid number, which is probably what a lot of authors thought as well.
So this was the original author vendor narrator setup. I was number 2 over here. Yeah, but when we got into the convention center, this this was not the setup. Some of you who may have been to conventions before see this setup and go, hold up, I don't know if that's gonna fly with fire code. And guess what? This wasn't gonna fly with fire code. So this was all completely different. Instead of having 2 big rows and then a bunch of like other rows like this, it was all just up and down horizontal.
Even before she said, this looks weird, right? I was like, that's not gonna work. I'm used to mostly California events. I've been all over the place, okay? But a lot of fire code is fairly consistent as far as like being able to move throughout aisles and things like that of a convention center, especially convention centers themselves. They usually have a standard as to what they would allow, why you would not clear a floor plan with a venue beforehand, because it doesn't seem like that's what happened here. But basically the floor plan that all of the authors were given was changed around because they were like, yeah, no, we can't have it like this. So instead of like clusters with aisles and then main aisles, which I don't know why you thought that would work anyways, because safety and crowding. So what they changed it around was changing it to aisles so that no one knew where they were going. Let's say the fire marshal comes in and changes her whole floor plan. And so the authors that you are expecting to come in are in fact not going to know where to go. You need to then have a employee, yourself, or a volunteer or security there to communicate to that. Communicate that to them the moment they walk in and check in. Hi, we are so sorry. We had to move things around because of safety hazard issues. So the table floor plan is not what we sent you. What number did you have? We will try and find a table and we can accommodate one that you would like. You also do not want to have your vendors, in this case authors, telling other authors that it's a free-for-all, because then it looks like a mutiny and it looks like you don't have a handle on the event. You didn't. But there's also just better ways to go about this, okay?
Once it's time to check in to like or once it's time to unload into the actual convention center, I get there and my table is given away. I don't blame the person who was at my table. I think it was a case of the map being a hot mess and the people who were helping us find our tables not knowing where we were supposed to go. So I'm walking around for 20 minutes trying to figure out where to go, and I'm told to just sit at this empty table that's not my spot on the map, not the spot that attendees will be able to find me. I set up and I'm told that if someone comes to says that this is their table, to just send them to the organizer and she'll deal with it.
She is saying that there was someone to help them get to their tables, but they also didn't know what was going on. That's also a problem. See how all of these issues come down to communication? They are all saying we got very little information beforehand. We were basically begging for information via email or other means, and we're not getting it. And then what we got was not what we were told. And then also fire marshal and this and tables, and my table is gone. And then I am now told to communicate if someone tries to come and take my table after I've set up. I'm supposed to be the one to tell them to go find something else. Why are you putting that onto your authors?
So the vendor hall opened at 10 a.m. and the attendees started rolling in. But keep in mind, this is Friday, so this is a VIP only event. Y'all, there were maybe 30 people. And this was an all-day situation.
People are comparing this to TanaCon, which I would say yes. I would honestly push it more towards DashCon, okay? Because one of the major issues with DashCon, obviously I was not there, allegedly, the hotel had not been paid, okay? And so they actually ended up asking for funds from the attendees that were there in order to keep the doors open. And so people gave money day of, and then they didn't have money to spend for the vendors. And so then the vendors didn't make any money either. And so it seems like that's a little closer to this, but also it just seems like overall there was no one in attendance, because what do you mean the first day is 40 people? This is why you don't do like a whole VIP day unless it's like an industry day or something like that, where it's like you are encouraging other authors and writers to come in, maybe journalists to come and write about your event, talk about like the importance of events for bookish creators and authors to come and meet people and meet new readers, and, you know, really do that, since so much of this happens online, because so many authors these days are turning to self-publishing, and that's a little harder to, you know, get moved in and do events and things like that. There's something there, okay? And yet it seems like, I'm so curious what the marketing was. The organizer for the event that was supposed to pay for the hotels for the authors apparently said that they had to pay for their own room Friday night because their identities were stolen. Their identity was stolen. And so they could not pay for the room anymore. It was declined. What is going on? So another book talker and cosplayer shared their story. They had been holding off posting things because they weren't sure about legal situations, if there was going to be a lawsuit or not. But they did say that they had been invited to go and also paid to go. And part of the thing, they were going to be compensated with was their hotel being paid for.
First night that I stayed at the hotel, checked in, everything was mostly fine. The next day, my room key broke, and I go down to the front desk, and the guy at the front desk says, "Hey, I just need you to know that the event pulled their card. So this is on you now." So that left me stranded. So I go ahead and I put my card on file. Huge mistake. I got charged $539.
So these are just 2 instances of people not having their hotels paid for as they were told they were going to have their hotels paid for. I'm sure there were other authors as well. These are the 2 videos that I found at this time. But the fact that Michaela was told that the organizers' identity had been stolen and that's why they had to pull their card, and then the fact that someone else, the actual hotel, had to tell one of your cosplayers, or at least the person that was contracted to come in and work there, that their card had been pulled. I'm hearing discrepancies that could literally be a potential, evidence in a lawsuit. And I'm hearing lack of communication, which is, again, compared to the actual potential legal ramifications of this, the lack of communication is just bad business sense at the very least. Okay, what are we doing? Some of the vendors did pay, and then there were authors that was a featured author, like Michaela was. Michaela said she was a featured author, so she was supposed to get her hotel room comped, and then I think a table, and then her appearance fee. She does not tell us what the appearance fee was, but it sounds like she did not get that, and it's sounding like she may not get that. I hope you at least get reimbursed and you at least get compensated for your time, especially because you were featured and supposedly advertised based off what you were saying. And a couple of people in the comments were like, wait, I was literally going for you. Yovi, you're entering the ball. You paid $250 to attend. Like, you couldn't even pay for extra. Amanda, that's expensive. Yeah, then don't do this event. Like, I know I'm getting frustrated. It's because I'm tired. But also it's like, this shouldn't have happened. This is, I'm in a ball. This is crazy, okay? Because you can't just throw a ball and expect that it's going to come together and that everyone's going to be okay with it, okay? They all look stunning. They're all in beautiful gowns. They're all ready to have a nice event. And then you don't even have a curtain, a proper dance floor space set up. You just have the concrete of the convention center room. Okay. You honestly could have gone to an actual panel room and probably had better control of the lighting, and it would have been better than this. This is frustrating. This is hard to look at. I'm not even trying to be patient here because I'm just like, people can't keep doing this. Like, this is not the first of these bookish events that have just totally been something that looks like a mess. People are saying fraud. People are thinking this is just actively a scam. I don't know how much of it's that, but at a certain point, bad business practices look a lot like a scam. And then again, if anyone is able to prove that you did in fact not have your identity stolen and that you had promised people that you were going to pay for their hotel rooms and things like that, which when you pay for a hotel room in that way, especially in a block of rooms like that, you should have that all booked and paid for and organized beforehand and have like just a card on file that the hotel is aware of, okay? In that type of sense. It shouldn't be like you are running the card for every potential person, which again, if you told someone that your identity was stolen and then they put their card down and you had no intention of reimbursing them back for whatever reason, then that is a potential legal issue, especially because that person came to your event under the guise that you were going to cover certain things. I don't know if there was contracts involved. If there's contracts involved, that's another issue on top of things. This is frustrating, especially because, like, I don't know, maybe I have a higher expectation now because the Romantasy Book Con, though I did have things that I would tweak, okay, it overall went very well. And like the Biltmore, stunning hotel, easy spot to stick things in and have it do 90% of the work. And even then for the ball, they had multiple rooms. They tried to make it work. They had lighting, they had food, they had drinks, they had things, okay? They actively went out of their way to try because of course they did, because they took people's money. At a certain point, once you take money in that regard, you have to be responsible for the money that you took, okay? You can't just say this was what it was supposed to be. Great. That's not what it wasn't what it was. So I'm glad you're refunding people, but now you have lost I would just cancel your other event. I would just cancel it. I'm sorry. This is comically bad. Unless you can truly find something where it's like, yes, X, Y, and Z that would have made this all perfect was lost off a truck in the Atlantic Ocean somehow. I don't know. Something, okay? That's the only way where I think you could really save this. But simply saying, sorry, this was not up to standard. Did not go as planned. Things like that. The planning seems just overall ill done. Like it's baffling. I'm shocked the convention center even let this happen. And it sounds like you didn't have any form of marketing made. In Percy's video, she showed screenshots of the registration desk and everything. The sign for the event is from the convention center with just typeface of A Million Lives Festival. That's it. You didn't even have a banner made or any form of marketing so that people knew where they were going. Really? Did you inherit this? I'm so confused. This is just, I can't even say that this is just a cash grab, because this wouldn't even be a good one. Make a finance event if you want to do a cash grab, okay? Those dudes will get hyped for anything if you just talk about Bitcoin, okay? I'm not even kidding. But to do romantasy is crazy. This is crazy. The expectations are higher because romantic fantasy, the fantasy element is there. Like, I know my voice is getting really high because I'm getting frustrated, because I'm just like, if this is a scam, which I really don't think this is a scam, I think this is just a case of someone having no idea what the heck they're doing whatsoever, okay? Truly, and just getting way in over their heads. And that's not an excuse. You do still have a responsibility to the authors that you encourage to travel and ship their books, because that is a cost for authors to do that. Now, that author said they were able to drive. Some authors flew. They then shipped their books as well, because obviously you're not going to travel with like 3 suitcases just full of heavy books on a plane if you can, because that's bunches of pounds, okay? And then they had to also ship their books back because no one was there buying books, okay? Because you misled them, allegedly, about how many people bought tickets. There's no more like, oh, this didn't go to plan. You messed up at multiple times, and now you get to deal with the consequences. A refund is not going to be enough for some of these people. Attendees, sure. The authors that you claimed you were going to pay and the like, that's another issue. It's the Fyre Fest, basically, where they're having trouble with Fyre Fest too, okay? Because no artist wants to go and perform at Fyre Fest 2, because they are concerned about being tied to Fyre Fest 2. Do you understand what could happen with your next event where no authors feel comfortable putting their name in association with your event and promoting this event to their readers? Because why would they trust that you are going to give their readers a good experience if they promote to their audiences? Do you see the issue here? See what's happening? The domino effect of, okay, I invited authors. I told the authors one thing. Then the authors didn't get that thing. Oh my gosh, no. Okay, but that's okay because the authors are here. Oh no, there's not enough. I told them there was going to be this amount of people here and they're not here. That's okay, we'll just tell them and then they'll come. Oh no, they shipped books, they spent more money. Oh no. So now they're not making money and no one's buying books, and then the ball is bad. Okay, that was a very bad analogy. There's a microphone in the way, but you get my point. This is almost like a pyramid scheme of an event, okay? But not a pyramid scheme of an event. It's just a mess, you know? But it's a mess in that every single thing seemed to lead to more mess. That's where I'm like, it's a pyramid. It's just stacking on top of each other. And it started the moment you decided to do an event at the Baltimore Convention Center. No offense to the Baltimore Convention Center. I'm just saying that's a big venue and there's an expectation there, and you were never going to be able to live up to that expectation, seemingly. Sorry if I'm being harsh, but this is crazy. Today is one of those days where I do feel like I'm being too harsh, but I'm really sick of seeing these events like this, okay? Do I think this one was actively a scam like some other events that I've covered? No. I think that, again, bad business looks a lot like a scam, and these people that are the authors, the attendees, okay? The people that you had sitting crisscross applesauce on the floor because for some reason you didn't know to request chairs.
So we're kind of just getting cozy. We're waiting for chairs. If they show up, if they don't, this was unique. It's a unique finale. We're just rolling. How many book events can you go to and say, you know what, I sat on the floor and listened to a crowded areas?
There's things here that could have been mitigated, and it just seems like those steps were not taken at any point. And it's normally because a convention, an event of this scale at a convention center is a big undertaking. And it doesn't sound like you knew what you were doing. Hi, editing Amanda again, because I'm changing what I said here. I was like, this is okay. You can admit what you don't doing. No, because at this point, when you admit, I don't know what I'm doing, that's when you either hire a team to come in and help you, hire people who do know what they're doing, or you stop, cancel the event. You be done. There is no, I just need to get through this and it'll be fine and then we'll make the next one better. No, this is you. There is no better here. This is done. Finito. At the end. Like, oh my God. Like, I clearly am not calmer about this. It's so infuriating. And then I'm going to talk about this in a second. There'll be a clip in a second. The amount of authors that I have heard talk about how they were told by other authors on very specific details, okay, of the organizer either blaming authors for things or complaining about authors to other authors and trash talking them. What are you thinking? I'm reiterating the point you're about to hear, but still. Events are hard for a reason. And there's like certain things that are always going to be difficult about events, okay? And so again, I might be being mean and I might be being like, what were you thinking? Why did you do this? Why did you think this would work? But someone clearly needs to do that. And I'm not even there. And I get it. But I would love to say that I don't think I will get through to you if the authors that literally were there are not getting through to you, okay? But at least they're getting refunds, it seems like. And again, do not do the request refunds. Refund everyone right now. I'm not even kidding. Refund everyone right now. Like that's honestly the best case you can do. And then stop doing public statements. The author specifically, I would be sending sincere, heartfelt emails to every single one of them, especially if you have not reimbursed them. Authors, especially, I feel like indie authors, like self-published authors these days as well, are so used to doing book festivals and bookish events because that's one of the best ways you can self-market outside of social media now is doing events like this. And also it helps, to build community and find community with other authors. It's the same way that social media events, like it's really nice to meet other creators. The same thing with bookish events. It's really nice to meet other authors and readers and connect with your readers in that way. And so many of them, like these booths look beautiful. They have their books and then they have their big signs with pop-ups saying their name, maybe some of their books, maybe some reviews of their books, some art that they have of their books, something of that nature, maybe their author photo blown up nice and beautiful. Some of them have flowers on their desks, okay? They've got little spots. That's crazy that then again, you don't have a sign for your event. At every point, I would have looked at this if I was you and been like, oh, this is going to look real bad. And yet you didn't think I should cut this now, And I'm assuming you put down a deposit and you wanted to get it back. You wanted to try and make the money back or something like that because you hoped for a DashCon hope of people are going to come day of. No one did. So Magical Molly on TikTok is another one of the authors that was invited, and she was apparently invited by, they keep calling her she, I'm assuming it's the woman that's on camera for the Archer Events account. She said that she reached out directly and she uses a mobility aid. She deals with chronic pain, and that so she always asks for a PA fee to be waived because to be ADA compliant, she typically needs to have someone with her. And she was very combative about waiving the PA fee and said that she needed it to fund the ball.
So I'm disabled. As many people who follow me online know, I'm physically disabled. I have severe chronic pain. And I can present like I'm not in pain and carry myself physically walking around to a degree without a mobility aid like I'm not in pain, but it's all fake. When I work events that have a PA fee, I ask if they can either waive the fee or offer me a discount because part of under ADA, the disability accommodation I need is having someone with me to help me get there and be there, like in case I like fall down and faint or collapse or have spasms and need help, that then other people, like I'm not going to expect a random author to know what to do to help me if my spine gives out. And every other event I've ever worked that had a PA fee either waived it or gave me a discount because they were like, we completely understand you're disabled, that's what matters. She was very combative about the PA fee being discounted or waived, claimed that she needed to fund the ball. So now that I know that's where the PA fee supposedly went, ridiculous. A
lot of things here that complaints could be made that, legal ramifications could be here and things of that nature. To not make the exception because one of the authors that you personally invited, that needs a waived fee because they physically need help in case they collapse. So she wants to bring someone with her. An exception can be made because, hey, this is a special circumstance.
And then I learned from other authors today, waking up the day after the festival in a chronic pain flare from working it, which I did expect to happen. I learned that she complained about me to other authors and said that and attendees and people that I was terrible and demanding, and she wished she hadn't invited me because I wanted to make sure we were ADA accessible.
Ollie is now the second author that I have heard was told by other authors that the organizer was complaining about them. Which, side note, is someone who does get complained about by organizers. I get complained about for valid reasons. This is just stupid. Okay, here's one of the panels that Molly spoke on. This is the Writing Diversity LGBTQ plus panel. They don't even have microphones. They're just sitting in chairs looking at the room. So authors have been contacted saying that they would all be refunded which some of these authors, I don't know what refunds they are getting because like some of them are featured authors and we're just supposed to have like their stays comped and an appearance fee and the like. But then they were also told that 603 tickets exactly were sold, which someone did the math, which again, I think a lot of this went to the convention center and that's the problem. KJ Sinclair said 603 tickets at the median price of $90, average of $50 and $250, and the tickets were always 40% off. Yikes, is still $54,000 made in ticket sales alone. For an event, that can disappear like that. I don't think money was pocketed here. I really don't think that. I do think this money disappeared in this event because events, convention centers, the like, are expensive to promise ticket sales and the like. And then like, were there sponsors? I haven't seen anyone saying they were sponsors, but then there's also, that's just ticket sales. So I'm not counting vendors fees. Vendors fees is another thing. I don't think I can find that information. Let me see if it's on the website really fast. Oh, there's a good number of authors and stuff here. A lot of y'all. Yeah, I do think the estimations are right and that the people that were here made up more than the attendees. Because that's the thing that I have heard the most is that there was more authors than attendees and vendors than the attendees. Vendor interest form, do we have prices? There will be a non-refundable vendor fee of $150. If you are adding an assistant ticket, for those are a $50 a ticket and includes access to everything during the event. So full vendor fee of $150. Okay, so that's the vendor fee. Million Lives Books Festival sponsor interest form. Sponsor options, book lover free, donating items for VIP bags. Oh, I did hear that the VIP bags, that none of the things that were donated were there and things were apparently thrown away. Yeah, see, if I was a sponsor and then I gave you items to put into a gift bag and then I was told those items were not in the gift bag and then I was told that things were thrown away, I'm just saying we would be taking a trip together to Lawsuit City. Okay? Again, I know I'm being harsh, but my God, what happened? Oh yeah, the authors are calling it a Million Lies Festival, by the way. So Grace is the high 500s, low 600s. There is a screenshot from Grace on Discord telling Laura that would be the number.
So I'm just going to jump right into it and share the email that I sent to Christine at the Baltimore Convention Center, basically laying out everything that I was told, other authors were told about the event and the happenings that were going on while we were there. Here's the email that I sent to the Baltimore Convention Center. And this was before the ball. So I didn't even get to include that she said the ball decorations were stolen. And Christine emailed me back. And she emailed me back fast because she was not playing about these mistruths. And this is what Christine said.
Hi, Laura. I'm so sorry you had an unpleasant experience at your event this weekend. I can tell you that we didn't receive information from the event organizer about missing boxes from the event. I checked in multiple times with show management and heard nothing but positive comments about how things were going on site. Directional signage is absolutely allowed to be placed throughout the public spaces to help guide attendees as long as it is provided by the event. We provide easels complimentary for them to be placed on if needed. I'm pretty sure Million Lives Book Festival has been assigned to the same convention services manager since it was contracted. I would go nuts if I had that much turnover in my department. And lastly, loading and unloading information is discussed at various points during the planning process, but I can check to make sure this was covered. Again, I am sorry your experience wasn't as expected, and I hope you will return to the BCC for a future event. Enjoy your weekend. So Grace also said, but I can only put AML signs in certain areas just because there are other events in the building, but there are signs to find Exhibit Hall D. I'll email my rep to confirm. I've had 6 different reps and they have all given me different info. I'm not even kidding. Like, I've seen one reader post about this. It's all authors. Do you know how bad that is for you? One, shows me your guests in general, like the amount of people that were there were probably mostly authors. And then also the fact that you have burning bridges with any potential authors in the future because they won't want to work with you again because you've done these authors such a disservice. To try and put it on the convention center and the like is so bad. God. Wait, the speaker is just a JBL speaker on a chair. So there was music. Literally like a few hours ago, it seems like The Cut put out an article about this event. Is this the Fire Festival of Book Talk by E.J. Dixon? In videos posted over the weekend, many authors claimed that though event organizers had promised 50 to 1,000 attendees, the convention was sparsely populated. I barely made enough to cover my fucking parking for 2 days, author Kate Disney Lugers said in a TikTok, adding that A Million Lives felt like the Fire Fest of book festivals. A post on Archer's management Instagram states that the company will reimburse any attendees who request a refund by May 31st. That does not count for the hotel rooms though.
As promised, here's the content creation room. Not sure what kind of content you're going to create in there, but thank you, Coco, for taking that photo. I'm so glad that it will live on in DashCon-like fame.
Go to a Walmart, okay? They have fabric at Walmart, okay? Buy couple yards from the bolts of fabric. Surely one of them looks pretty, okay? And pin it to a wall, at least in the content creation room, okay? You should have actual curtains for the ball, but the content creation room, easy little fake, little faux, little backdrop, something. Anyways, I really think you should hope you don't get sued. I think you will though. I wouldn't even wait for people to request refunds. I would refund everyone, and then anyone that you told to pay for their hotel room, I would find a way to pay them right now. Again, it may not be a scam. I think you weren't prepared for how much this was going to cost, and then so you were trying to look for a scapegoat by like blaming the convention center and everything like that. I would cancel your event in October. Do yourself that favor right now. So after I'd filmed, Archer Management put out a statement taking full responsibility for the event, saying they will be refunding everyone and that they were canceling their future events. They also put out a post that was asking for support for authors and the vendors of the event itself. Cool. I do still think they will sue you. And then again, shit talking authors at your own event? What are you doing? At least events that shit talk me, it's after the fact. They have valid reasons to be mad at me. I'm a critical bitch. Okay? But like, you invited these people and then you're mad that they wanted what you offered them. Like, I'm so like, and then to just shit on someone for requesting a PA fee, a $50 PA fee to be waived so that they don't collapse on the floor of your convention hall. You not have shame? Like, oh my God, this is crazy. Get a lawyer if you don't have one. Okay, I'm done. Did you go to this event? Do you want to talk about this event? If you want to come on stream and tell me more, would love to hear it. Let me know. Shoot me an email. Did you hear about this event on TikTok? Is this the first time you're hearing about this? Are you one of the, I'm not kidding, hundreds of people that have tagged me in these videos? Like, every time I open up TikTok, there's another @Swell Entertainment. Thank you. Much appreciated. Let me know. Comment down below. Reminder, I stream on Twitch. Reminder that Swell Entertainment is now available on Spotify. Reminder, I have another channel, Girly Pop Go, for all car and motorsport stuff. You want to check that out. Shout out to my channel members. If you'd also like to join channel memberships, you can go ahead and click join down below. If you'd like to follow me on all social media, it'll be all up here. And that's going to be it. Have a lovely day. Goodbye. I hesitate to just call this event a scam just because I think there's easier ways to scam people than trying to throw a ball. I think she did this because she thought it would be fun and just didn't think about the work that went into it, which again is not an excuse. I do think it's a different mindset than just like, this is actively a scam versus you are scrambling because you've realized you've screwed up. Because you did. I hope you realize it. Take the quiz to find your perfect trainer and get 14 days of free training with Trainwell. Okay, bye.